Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 33 of our power reading the Bible. And our reading was from Second Chronicles 32 to Ezra 7. Yes, so we see the closing of the book of Second Chronicles. It's both a story of glory and grief. King Hezekiah's faith led to great reforms and miraculous deliverance, and God, sent an angel to destroy the Assyrian army overnight. Yet, after his reign, Judah returned to their sinful ways, and despite repeated prophetic warnings, they would not eat it, and eventually Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, invaded Jerusalem. He destroyed the temple and he carried the people into exile. Imagine, these were the people that God saved from Egypt, and they went into another sort of slavery. Do you see? And they carried the people up into exile, just as the prophet had foretold. But even in judgment, God's mercy kind of always lingered with them. He promised that there would be restoration after 70 years. This was said in Jeremiah 29 verses 10. Yes, this was actually foretold in Jeremiah 29 verses 10. Then we enter into the book of Ezra, and we see it open with a decree of the king. That's King Cyrus, the unexpected builder. King Cyrus was, the unexpected builder. So Ezra opens up, with history taking a surprising turn. So God stirs it in the heart of King Cyrus of Persia, a pagan ruler. He was not a godly king, was not a king who believed let me not use the word godly, was not a king who believed in the God of the Israelites. He decreed that he would allow the exiles to return to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple of the Lord. Now, Cyrus not only decreed that, he released the sacred vessels that were in his possession. So when they were taking the people in exile, remember they took the what do you call it now, they invaded the temple, they took the sacred things that were taken from God's temple. He released it for the people, and them supported them with resources of gold and silver and other things. This actually fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah in Isaiah 44:28 and Isaiah 45 verses 1, which was actually spoken over 100 years earlier. Remember, even though we're reading the book of Ezra now, the book of Isaiah chronologically was actually written before it. Do you see? So he had actually, in that book, he had actually named Cyrus as God's chosen instrument for rebuilding his temple. This shows that God can use anyone, even unbelievers. So many of us who are stiff-necked, who would say things in the line of, if it's not a Christian, God can never use an unbeliever, it's a lie. God can use anyone. God used a pagan ruler to bring about the fulfillment of a prophecy that was foretold by him. Then we start to see the return, or the first return of the people, Zerubbabel and the altar renewal. We see, being led by Zerubbabel, a descendant of David, and Joshua the priest. We see the first wave of exiles start to return into Jerusalem, and they start to lay the foundation, start to rebuild, the altar, symbolizing that true rebuilding begins with worship and not walls. So we also start to see oppositions. Do you get? We see oppositions, we see delay, we see divine continuity. Of course, anytime we are undertaking a divine project of the Lord, opposition arises. Do you see? We actually see how opposition arose against the people, and the Samaritans and the surrounding people tried to discourage the builders. We will see this again in Nehemiah, how the opposition also arose for them. So after that, the work was altered. So the work was altered for years during the reign of King Ahasuerus and Artaxerxes. But God reignited, prophets like Haggai and Zechariah, who encouraged the people in building. And under Darius, the work resumed again. Then we see the completion and dedication and Ezra's arrival. Finally, in the 6th year of King Darius' reign, we actually see that the temple actually got completed about 70 years after its destruction, and it was dedicated with joy and offering and renewed rededication and renewed worship. And years later, Ezra, a skilled scribe and priest, was granted permission by Artaxerxes to lead another group back, and it was all just beautiful. And so as we enter into the book of Nehemiah, we would also see the rebuilding. You ask the question, so what was the difference between the rebuilding that was happening in the book of Ezra and that was happening in Nehemiah? And you'd actually get to see that in Ezra, the focus was on spiritual restoration and rebuilding of the temple as the center for worship. In Nehemiah, however, the focus seemed to be on the physical restoration, the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem, a symbol of identity, defense, community. So while in Ezra, they rebuilt the altar and the temple, that's man's connection with God. In Nehemiah, they rebuilt the walls, which was man's protection and identity before men. The three key insights I have from this is that God's promises outlives empires. So empires may rise and fall, and kings may change, and kingdoms may change, but God's words and promises will always outlive it. So these are words or prophecies that gone out from the mouth of God years prior, and under King Cyrus, God began to move even a foreign king to activate and the word that he had given. Number two is true rebuilding begins with worship. I know that I keep saying this, but I'll say it again. True rebuilding, true restoration, true grace, and any form of restoration, any form of rebuilding, it starts with worship, the right standing of our heart. So even before the people started to build the walls and the houses, they had to build their altar. They had to stand in right standing with God. So before we can rebuild anything, rebuild relationships, broken relationships, rebuild, foundations that have been ruined, we need to be in right standing with God. So the true restoration begins with worship. And the last is that opposition confirms purpose many times. Opposition is an indication that we're doing the right thing. Opposition is actually a very good indication of purpose. So fierce resistance that they faced is the fierce resistance that these people faced, that they faced while they were rebuilding, it wasn't an indication that what they were doing was wrong. It is actually proof that the work mattered. It is usually when what you are doing matters, when it is going to make a change, when it is going to make great impact. That is when there is usually fierce opposition. If many of the times what we are doing are insignificant, people wouldn't bother. The enemy wouldn't bother with trying to oppose us. So many times an indication that we're on the right track is actually that there is opposition. So most times when we feel that we're enjoying, oh, it's just grace, it is just smooth, it means that you're not scratching anything in the spirit. It means that you're not disturbing the work that you are doing many times. Actually, when it comes to spiritual matters, many times it means that that thing that you are doing, it's not, God gives ease, but many times opposition. And when I say God gives ease, that God gives ease doesn't mean that there is no opposition. It means that grace has been supplied for us to overcome any such opposition if they dare raise their head. But for us not to sense or see any opposition, many times we need to look at it. So opposition a lot of the time confirms purpose. And that is the end of our reading for the day 33. See you in day 34.